Vicar Noah here with your dose of the daily. Let's get ready with verses 41 and 42 of the 5th chapter of Acts. Then they left the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer dishonor for the name. And every day in the temple and from house to house they did not cease teaching and preaching that the Christ is Jesus. Rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer dishonor for the name. That part really gets me thinking. The apostles knew Jesus' teachings better than anybody else, and I imagine that they were remembering that Jesus had told them that the world would hate them like it hated him, and that those who suffered for his name's sake would receive a great reward in heaven. They didn't just know this stuff in their heads, they knew it deep in their hearts. They lived day in and day out in the sure and certain knowledge that they were going to live forever with Jesus. You know, I'd like to think that I'd suffer willingly for the name of Jesus. I even think that after the fact I'd be able to keep from anger or despair because of the teachings that I know to be true. But if I'm being honest with myself, I doubt that I'd be rejoicing right after being beaten. But that's the sort of faith we're called to, a faith that rejoices in suffering for the name, because we know that it is our connection to that name which will bring us to everlasting life in even fuller communion with that name and the God to whom it belongs. We can rejoice in suffering because we know that in that suffering Jesus draws ever nearer to us and sweeps us up in the glorious movement toward the restoration of all creation. We can continue to preach and to teach like the apostles because we are a part of God's movement and we know that no one can stop God.